The hour of convening has arrived, and the Senate will now come to order. At this time, I'd like to ask that all unauthorized persons exit the chamber. Before we move on, I want to just take a moment to just thank the Senate for being here today. I know that this is definitely an abnormal process. Obviously, it's Saturday and tomorrow's Sunday. As I was driving in this morning, I was reflecting on just kind of the situation we're in and thought that, for the last 3 months, we've had so much unfinished business here in the Senate and as a General Assembly as a whole to take on, the people's work. And so for 3 months, we've watched our state deal with so many things, a pandemic, a difficult economy, and social issues have continued to arise to be of the utmost importance for this body to deliberate. And so certainly the inconvenience of being here on a Saturday and Sunday does not outweigh the significant work, good work that we're going to do while being here. And so my just personal gratitude to each and every one of you is to thank you for being here. It is my honor to recognize the Rules Chairman, the Senator from the 53rd District.
Mr. President, it's a glorious day to be here on a Saturday. In the old days, I'd be watching cartoons, but I don't even know they play in the mornings on Saturday. But we're here, and we're here to do the people's work today, and thank you for your leadership. The journal's been read and found to be correct.
Senator, what was your favorite cartoon when you were younger?
Well, I was a Space Ghost or a Bugs Bunny or, those kind of things. I enjoyed those, watching and eating my cereal in the mornings, You don't do that anymore.
I'm glad it wasn't Wile E. Coyote.
I liked
Roadrunner.
You haven't been recognized.
Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. Mr. Secretary, first reading of Senate bills and resolutions, please.
Senate Bill 528 by Senators Jackson II, read to the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 4 of Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to arrest by private persons, so as to revise the grounds for arrest by private persons.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 529 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd and Brass of the 28th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to carrying and possession of firearms, so as to provide for
public
lifetime
safety.
Senate Bill 530 by Senator Henson, the 41st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the State Court of DeKalb County.
State and local government.
Senate Resolution 994 by Senator Miller of the 49th and Brass of the 28th, a resolution recognizing and commending the exceptional public service and dedicated volunteerism of Tony Fernari of Braselton, Georgia. Senate Resolution 1007 by Senators Cowser of the 46th, Miller of the 49th, and others, a resolution creating the Senate Law Enforcement Reform Study Committee.
Rules.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, please.
House Bill 1163 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Randolph County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1166 by Representative Bonner of the 72nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for a new homestead exemption from Fayette County School District ad valorem taxes.
State and local government.
House Bill 1169 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Shellman.
State and local government.
House Bill 1170 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide for a change in the compensation of the Sheriff Tax Commissioner and the Probate Court Judge, the Clerk of Superior Court, and Chairman of the Board of Commissioners of Newton County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1171 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize Newton County to dissolve the
State
Newton
and local
County
government.
House Bill 1173 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Bluffton.
State and local government.
House Bill 1174 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to create the Newton County Public Facilities
State and
Authority.
local government.
House Bill 1175 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a new charter for the city of Port Wentworth.
State and local government.
House Bill 1176 by Representative Jones of the 47th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to reincorporate the city of Mountain Park.
State and local government.
House Bill 1177 by Representative Benton of the 31st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing a homestead exemption for the city of Jefferson Independent
State and local
School
government.
District ad valorem tax. House Bill 1178 by Representative Benton of the 31st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing a homestead exemption for the city of Commerce.
State and local
Independent.
government.
House Bill 1179 by Representative Benton of the 31st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing a homestead exemption from Jackson County School District
State
ad
and local
valorem
government.
taxes. House Bill 1180 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to repeal the amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia for the election of members of Board of Education of Chattooga County
State and
by
local
the people.
government.
House Bill 1181 by Representative Hatchett of the 150th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to fix the compensation of the members of the Board of Education of Johnson County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1182 by Representative Dubnick of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to repeal an act creating Hall County Family Connection Network.
State and local government.
House Bill 1183 by Representative Smith of the 133rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the governing authority of the town of Pine Mountain to levy an excise tax.
State and local government.
House Bill 1189 by Representatives Dubnick of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to repeal an act creating the Hall County Commission for Children and Families.
State and local government.
House Bill 1191 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the Magistrate Court of Bacon County to impose a
State and local government.
House Bill 1192 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the Magistrate Court of Pierce County to impose and
State and local government.
House Bill 1193 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the Magistrate Court of Brantley County to collect a county law library fee as part of the court costs in the Magistrate Court.
State and local government.
House Bill 1194 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the Magistrate Court of Ware County to impose and collect county law library fees as part of the court costs in the Magistrate
State and
Court.
local government.
House Bill 1196 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the Magistrate Court of Coffee County to impose and collect county law library fees as part of the court costs in the Magistrate Court.
State and local government.
House Bill 1197 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the Magistrate Court of Charlton County to impose and collect county law library fees as part of the
State and
court.
local government.
House Bill 1198 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide for homestead exemptions in Hart County ad valorem taxes for
State and
county
local government.
purposes. House Bill 1199 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide for homestead exemptions from Franklin County ad valorem taxes for county
State and local
purposes.
government.
House Bill 1200 by Representative Williams of the 148th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to create a Board of Elections and Registration for Wilcox County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1201 by Representative McLaurin of the 51st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to reconstitute and reestablish the Board of Elections and Registration for Fulton County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1202 by Representative McLaurin of the 51st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to create the Board of Elections and Registration for Fulton County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1215 by Representatives Jackson of the 64th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for the creation of one or more county improvement districts in the city of Fayetteville
State
City.
and local government.
House Bill 1216 by Representative Jackson of the 64th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for a homestead exemption from the city of Union City ad
State and local
valorem
government.
taxes. House Bill 1218 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Hart County.
State and local government.
House Resolution 1601 by Representative Burns of the 159th, a resolution relative to meetings and adjournment of the General Assembly.
Rules.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
I've never said state and local government so many times in my life. Ms. Secretary, can you please read reports of any standing committees?
Mr. President, the City Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. House Bill 1103, due pass by substitute. House Bill 993, due pass by substitute. House Bill 1003 do pass by substitute. House Bill 993 do pass by substitute. House Bill 911 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Stone of the 23rd District Chair. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 506 do pass. Senate Bill 510 do pass. Senate Bill 517 do pass. House Bill 1115 do pass. House Bill 1137 do pass. House Bill 1142 do pass. House Bill 1145 do pass. House Bill 1160 do pass. House Bill 1162 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chair. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Ms. Secretary, will you please read bills and resolutions for the second time?
House Bill 93 by Representative Williams in the 145th. Water pollution and surface water use. Notice to local government authorities prior to dewatering of coal combustion residual surface impoundments provide. House Bill 167 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd. Insurance. Employees of licensed property and casualty insurers to adjust residential property insurance claims of $1,000 or less without obtaining an adjuster license allow. House Bill 244 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others. Electric membership corporations comply with certain requirements in determining the rate for attachments to utility poles by communication service providers require. House Bill 417 by Representative Powell of the 32nd and others. Law enforcement officers and agencies comprehensive regulation of trauma scene cleanup services provide. House Bill 426 by Representative Estration of the 104th and others. Criminal procedure, imposition of punishment for crimes involving bias or prejudice, revised criteria. House Bill 758 by Representative Powell of the 32nd and others. Georgia Motor Carrier Act of 2012, consideration of the deployment of motor carrier safety improvements in determining an individual's employment status with a motor carrier, prohibit. House Bill 780 by Representative Perkle of the 155th and others. State Property Commission, use an opinion of value in the valuation of state property where a conveyance of the property by the state is for the sole and direct benefit of the state, allow. House Bill 833 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others. Waters, ports, and watercraft. Promulgate rules and regulations regarding long-term anchoring. Authorize. House Bill 846 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others. Revenue and taxation. Interest paid on refunds of overpayments of taxes and past due taxes shall be equal to the bank prime loan rate. Provide. House Bill 857 by Representative Powell of the 32nd and others. Conservation and natural resources. Burning of certain chemically treated wood products for purposes of commercial energy generation. Prohibit. House Bill 879 by Representative Harrell of the 106th and others. Alcoholic beverages. Legislative intent of the General Assembly to exercise strict regulatory control over the three-tier system. Provide. House Bill 903 by Representative Dollar of the 45th and others. Motor vehicles, issuance of a traffic citation to a vehicle owner in lieu of the individual operating the motor vehicle in certain instances. Provide. House Bill 946 by Representative Knight of the 130th and others. Insurance, extensive revisions regarding pharmacy benefit managers. Provide. House Bill 972 by Representative Houseman of the 170th and others. Public utilities and public transportation. Penalties for violations of pipeline safety standards and regulations prescribed and enforced by the Public Service Commission. Provide. House Bill 984 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and others. Criminal procedure, sentencing, change provisions. House Bill 998 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th and others. Game and fish, effective date of rules and regulations promulgated by the Board of Natural Resources. Change. House Bill 1035 by Representative Martin of the 49th. Sale and use tax, certain tax exemptions, repeal sunset provisions. House Bill 1039 by Representative Watson of the 172nd and others. Contracts, additional protections for consumers who enter into service contracts that contain lengthy automatic renewal provisions. Provide. House Bill 1050 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th and others. Georgia Life and Health Insurance Guarantee Association. Certain persons receiving insurance coverage from health maintenance organization subscriber contracts or health care corporation plans extend association protections. House Bill 1093 by Representative Meeks of the 178th and others. Agriculture, provide for an agricultural commodity commission for wine and grapes. House Bill 1094 by Representative Gaines of the 117th and others. Public officers and employees, paid parental leave for state employees, provide. House Bill 1098 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th and others. Highways, bridges, and ferries, development of a statewide strategic transportation plan, provide. House Bill 1122 by Representative Watson of the 172nd and others. Regional commissions, appointment of non-public members to the councils, revised provisions. House Resolution 1094 by Representative Donahue of the 30th and others. Property, granting of non-exclusive easements, authorized. House Resolution 1173 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others. Justice Robert Benham Bridge, Bartow County, dedicate. House Resolution 1167 by Representative Green of the 151st and others. Property, conveyance of certain state-owned real property, authorized. House Resolution 1300 by Representative Perkle of the 155th and others. Glenn County, Murray County, change of use of certain property, authorized. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. It's now time for our morning roll call. I'm going to take my time here for a minute, just make sure everybody can find their way here. Are there any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the Majority Whip.
Yes, sir. Good morning, and thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 24th and the 37th.
Without objection, the senators from the 24th and 37th are excused. Chair recognizes the senator from the 55th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 38th, the 43rd, and the 42nd.
All right, without objection, the senators from the 38th, 33rd, and 42nd are excused.
43rd.
43rd. So 38th, 43rd, and 42nd are excused. Are there any additional motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. I'd like for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 35th.
Without objection, the senator from the 35th is excused. One more pass. Are there any additional motions to excuse? The chair sees none. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to suspend the morning roll call.
Majority Leader has asked for unanimous consent to dispense with the morning roll call. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the morning roll call is dispensed with. It's now time for our morning devotion, and ask that all senators take your seats and cease all audible conversations. I'd also like to ask our doorkeepers to secure the chamber at this time. Please rise to your feet as I lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and to introduce our chaplain of the day. It's my honor today to get to introduce Dr. Charles Gardner to this Senate chamber, and he's not a newcomer. Many of you will recognize him from years past being with us, but certainly there's folks who've been here longer that maybe this has happened before, but he's actually was with us this session on January 29th. I think it was around day 8. And so he's back with us again here today to deliver us an encouraging word this morning. As many of you remember, Charles is the founding pastor of Redwood Church. It's an independent church in the Wesleyan tradition. And prior to that, he served for 20 years as a pastor in the United Methodist Church, serving 5 different congregations in North Georgia, including 3 here in the city of Atlanta. I was going to skip over this part, but he does hold a degree from Georgia Tech, so I find that to be a relevant data point. Charles is a native Atlantan and resides in Buckhead. His wife Shannon works at Chick-fil-A at their support center, and their son Zach is a student at Windward Academy. It's my honor to bring today to deliver our Chaplain of the Day comments, Dr. Charles Gardner.
Good morning. Such a privilege to be with you anytime I get to be with you, and an honor, but particularly maybe now more so than ever. The word that I continue to use in these days is surreal. To think about being with you on January 29th seems a world away. It seems like more than just a few months ago, but maybe many years ago. I suspect, like many of you, my family and I did a lot of things to try to occupy our time while we were sheltered in place and while we were practicing the various activities that would keep us healthy. I'll get to that in a minute, but it's why I chose not to use a particular term. I don't like the term social distancing. As a pastor, my whole life is about being social. And so early on, my wife says it's way too Georgia Tech because she went to University of Georgia. I renamed social distancing safe physical proximity, which probably does sound more techie than anything else. But because we can't be physically near each other doesn't mean we can't be socially connected and spiritually in tune. And so I renamed that. And the other term that I really didn't like was new normal, and that's going to be kind of the focus of my words to you this morning. But one of the things that I did is I continued running. I'm an avid runner, and I love to run, and so I wasn't running as much with the group that I normally ran with, but I ran a lot, and a lot of my runs would take me around Memorial Park and around the new Bobby Jones Golf Course, a beautiful path around there, and so grateful for that incredible amenity that we have near our home. And so one of the projects that's currently going on, as many of you may be aware, is GDOT is rebuilding the north side bridge over Peachtree Creek. And part of the first phase of that is that they're building a new pedestrian bridge that will connect the path on I guess that's the east side of the road. And so having gone to Georgia Tech, having studied construction, I love watching things be built. And it's been fascinating as they put in the dams to pour the columns to support the beams. And within the last couple of weeks, the beams have gone up across, and now they'll be running the new utilities through those beams. But one day last week when I was running, I stopped and asked one of the gentlemen who was working, one of the contractors who was working, I said, hey, how are y'all going to get the pathway from the new elevation of this bridge down to where the path exists just beyond? And he looked at me and he had a smile on his face. He said, sir, I hadn't seen those plans yet. My plan's in right here. And I thought about it for a minute, and my son says that I should have a disclaimer anytime I have a conversation with anybody, and that disclaimer is what you say can and will be used in a sermon or a devotional at some point in the future. And I thought about that for the rest of my run home. My plans end right here. And what I sensed by that was that gentleman meant that he was going to do the best. His plans meant that he was to the best of his ability to get those beams in place, to get everything set so whoever was to come after him could pick up their plans and make the connection from what he built to where we needed to be. And so these words may be familiar to many of us from the prophet Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, the 11th verse. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Then when you call upon me and come and pray to me, I will hear you. And so the other disclaimer is that these words that are so familiar and often used to give hope are said to God's people in a time of extreme difficulty, extreme challenges. But Jeremiah is trying to encourage them and remind them that they are God's people and that God loves them and God will prepare a future for them. We can't always see the future as clearly as we would like. And so as I was running around the old Bobby Jones Golf Course, seeing the new bridge go up, one day it caught my eye, one of the old bridges that went from the old clubhouse over to the golf course. The bridge is completely collapsed, and all that remains are the 3 stone pillars on which the bridge once sat. And I penned these words, and I hope you'll forgive me for reading this morning. I first wrote them, 6 or 8 weeks ago now, and I've kind of updated it to reflect where we are today. A few months ago, we were all walking along, and the bridge in front of us completely collapsed. So much of what we thought was certain and sure seemed to disappear before our very eyes. We stood looking at the crumbling foundation, wondering how we would ever get to the other side. Clouds were covering the earth. We have been anxious and despondent. Then off in the distance, the clouds began to clear. We could see the blue skies breaking through the despair. On the horizon, we noticed a new bridge. It was not the one we planned to cross, but maybe it was the one we need to take. Maybe, just maybe, this new bridge leads to a preferred future. A future where we no longer take for granted the most important things in life: family, faith, friends, and freedom. A future where we put down our screens and we look into each other's eyes. A future where we discover what it really means to love God and to love our neighbor. A future where we put aside petty bickering and work together to solve the most challenging and complex problems facing us. A future filled with patience and gratitude and perspective and generosity and peace. We have a choice about how we'll respond when we get to the other side of this new bridge. I choose to look to the future with hope. Finally, let us not forget those who will not join us. May their memories inspire us to be better and to do better. Will you pray with me? Almighty God, it is such a privilege to stand among the servant leaders of our state as they deliberate such difficult and challenging topics in legislation. And oh God, I simply come this morning not to preach at them, but to pray with them and to pray for them. God, may your presence be felt among them as they continue to finish out this disruptive legislative session. May your love and your wisdom guide their deliberations and their decisions. And may the rest of us in Georgia continue to support and pray for them as they serve us so faithfully. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Are there any unanimous consents? The chair sees none. Are there any points of personal privilege? Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd. Is that an arm brace on you?
That's kind of funny. Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow is Father's Day. Some of us still have their fathers. Some of us don't. Some of us are fathers. I'd like to talk about my dad. His name was Henry Eugene Mullis. They called him Gene. He was the only male who graduated in his senior class in high school. He was born in 1920. He was, thank you, Mr. President. He fought in World War II, landed at D-Day +3, or I wouldn't be here. Thank you for your service, too. He fought in Korea War, and he was a good Dodger, or I wasn't here, or I wouldn't be here. He thought his military experience was that of duty. My dad was a man of duty. He was assigned to do something, he was going to fulfill it, and that's where his son Jeff Mullis comes in. I'm a man of the same thing. I try to do everything the very best I can. Oftentimes I don't do well, but many times I do. I played football as a youngster, and I know it's hard for you to believe, but I was 145 pounds my senior year, wringing wet. I couldn't buy a pound. But from my dad, was inbred in me to give everything I could do in football, forever play, to try to be successful. I knew no other way. I still do that today in many cases. But my dad was a man of community. He thought after he got back from his military service that his job was to be active in his community. So he ran the scoreboard at the Gordon Leaf basketball games for 55 years. He also reported to the media the football statistics for about 40-something years. So my dad and my mom were people who gave back to their community, like I think everybody should. That's why I was a volunteer firefighter for many years. But my dad, after his service, he was a bank teller at one time, and then he got a job with the U.S. Postal Service. And he was a mounted route guy. He carried the bag over his shoulders and walked 12 miles a day delivering mail to the mounted route, which was the downtown area of Chickamauga. Then later he became a rural mailman. I hate to sound so sexist, but he was. And you know how they leave a thing in your mailbox and you got a package, you got to go get it? Well, not my dad. He would drive up to the back door and deliver the packages. So he went above and beyond the call of duty in everything he did. So my dad was a man of honor, and he is my hero. He was a good dad and always supported me and my brother at any of our activities at schools, and then later on he embraced us in his loving arms as we become adults. So I honor my dad tomorrow for Father's Day in memory only. My brother Jerry and I would do that same thing, and I had a great dad, Henry Eugene Mullis. So happy Father's Day, Dad. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 21st for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief because it is Saturday, but one reason I want to come up is this Saturday it kicks off the first leg of the Triple Crown, and it's the first time in the 152-year history that it'll start with the Belmont Stakes instead of ending with the Belmont Stakes. And the reason I bring this up today is we have a Kentucky-bred horse, but is owned by a Georgia-bred company, a Georgia-owned company, a gentleman from Gwinnett County, Dean Reeves of Reeves Racing Stables, and his horse, Sol Valente, is going off as the favorite today. So I want to wish Sol Valente and Reeves Racing good luck in the Belmont Stakes, the first leg of the Triple Crown. And I also want to wish my dad, John Beach, who is still living, 90 years old, a happy Father's Day. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 45th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I rise, and I didn't even ask my caucus if I could do this. So they may be mad at me, but let me tell you, I'm mad. I'm furious. I'm infuriated. I did not know that we were going to be here today on a Saturday. So yesterday, I drove to my house in the mountains, way up in the mountains, and I got up at 4 o'clock to be able to get here, but that's not why I'm mad. That's not why I'm mad. The reason I'm mad is because when I woke up this morning, I read a tweet, and I was tagged in a tweet. And let me tell you, I've been through some tweets during a congressional campaign, and I've been mad before. But this is personal. I've been through a lot of personal stuff. Y'all know I was in a straitjacket during my congressional campaign. But the reason I'm mad, I'm going to read this tweet to you. I am so disappointed that the Senate Republicans inserted the poison pill of adding occupations as a protected class to the hate crimes bill. The Senate Dems said, we want a real hate crimes bill. We want a real hate crimes bill. This is a red hot poker, and you're poking that poker into a fire that is just bursting open, and it has the consequences of burning this building down. And when you tweeted that, and you said that we were incendiary and that we were stoking that fire, let me tell you, you're absolutely wrong. I am the only Jewish person in this room. The only other Jewish person I have ever served with was David Edelman. I served over in the House with a couple of Jewish people. If there is anybody in this room who wants a hate crimes bill, I converted to Judaism from Catholicism. For 40 years, over 40 years, I have been the point of a lot of hate crimes and a lot of just unbelievable things said to me because I'm Jewish and discriminated against. If there is any one person in this room who wants a hate crimes bill more than me, I don't know who you are. But I will stay here from night to day, drive miles and miles and miles to get here to accomplish that because I want it. But I will not sit here and be intimidated and try to divide caucuses. If anything, the Democrat caucus needs to be pouring honey onto this building for those who are reticent to vote for this bill, for those Republican senators who are going on the line for you, and they are going on the line for you and are going to vote for that hate crimes bill. You do not need to be sending that poker into a hot flame already. So I encourage the Democrat caucus to come to the table and to work with the majority caucus and not burn this building down, and for the man standing behind me pass a hate crimes bill for the whole state of Georgia. And that's why I'm mad. I encourage you to do better. We can do better. and let's move on, get finished, get the budget passed, pass the hate crimes bill, and get out of this building. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 26th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's real interesting. We talking about kahunas. Who's got the biggest one? We were told that we had a hate crime bill that came from the House that we didn't need to mess with, we just needed to pass it. We are a deliberative body. And what happens is when the House and the Senate disagree, they insist on their position and a committee of conference is appointed. But let me say something to you. The reason we are here in all of the discussion around the world is because of police. It's because of police, because somebody in the police department did something that was ludicrous. We're not saying that all policemen, there's something wrong with them. When something is going on, you dial 911 because you want some help. You want somebody to show up that can do something. But in a hate crime bill that's been brought on by incidents by police, and then to take them and put them in a protected class in a hate crime bill, I will never vote for. Never. It seems to me it is a poison pill to kill the hate crime bill in this deliberative body. We had conversations with leadership and thought we had a plan that would allow the president of this body to do some things, to change some things, put enhanced penalties in some things, and then send it back to the House. And we know they were going to insist on their position, and a committee of conference would be set up to deal with it. But behold, in the wee hours, late in the afternoon, all of a sudden it changed. It changed. A protected class was being put in. And we were told, we don't need you. We got the votes to pass it. Well, I tell you what. You got the kahunas, you pass it. We as a Democratic caucus will not pass a bill that's got a protected occupation in it. A policeman is a person, just like me and you. So if there's a crime committed on him, there are enhanced penalties. Resist arrest. Fight back with a police officer and see, look at the charges you get. But to come in here and tell us that we're going to put a protected class in a hate crime bill when we are here because it was the police that did the work to get us here. That's time out for playing games. And I hadn't planned to come up here and fight the Civil War all over again. We need to be talking about what happened on Election Day. Why is it that so many folks had to stand in line and wait for hours to vote? Why is it that the Secretary of State didn't do the proper training? I'm not saying all of it was his fault. Because when I looked at those long lines in Fulton County, why is it that the Board of Election didn't get a facility that was big enough to handle the crowds? So there's blame on both sides. But then we had some machines that didn't work. Paper got caught up in them. And then the word was, that was not the company that the folks who were making the decision wanted. This was the other company who had a lobbyist that used to be the campaign manager for the governor that got the contract. That's what we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about elections. We got runoffs, and we got a general election in November. But I will tell you that I will fight a hate crime bill that has an occupation in it with all the vigor that I can. And I will make sure that when I do it, I let everybody know who killed a hate crime bill. It is no joke. Do you know what it's like to be like this? Do you know what it's like? We are talking about attitudes. We saw it on film, we saw it on video, everything now. Somebody got a phone and they recorded it. So don't tell us it didn't happen when we actually see it. Don't tell me I didn't see the police officer with his hand in his pocket, steady adding pressure to George Floyd. Don't tell me I didn't see the guy running that took the taser. And if you got a taser, you have to have been shot with the taser before you can carry it. And y'all say it don't kill. But you running with a taser, pointing and running, and you get shot twice in the back. You got his driver's license. You got the car. If anything, you can send the fugitive squad to get him. They have about 7, 8 folks. He wouldn't have been able to whoop them. But it's by kahunas. A police officer made a decision because he got his butt whooped. That's what happened. So we need to get this thing right and get it done the right way and move on.
Any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair sees none. You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Chair sees none. Is there objection to adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask unanimous consent that House Bill 1102 be withdrawn from the Committee on Assignments and be committed to the Committee on Slogo General.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 1102 by Representative Rutledge of the 109th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to homestead option sales and use tax so as to provide for a revised homestead option sales tax, to provide for a revised distribution of the proceeds from the levy of an equalized homestead option sales and use tax, to provide for the levy of a special purpose local option sales tax and use tax in certain counties, provide for elector petitions and referenda, and for other purposes.
Senator from the 56th has asked for unanimous consent that House Bill 1102 be withdrawn from the Committee on Assignments and be committed to the Committee on State and Local Government in General. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so. For what purpose does the senator from the 52nd rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move that House Bill 901 be moved from the Appropriations Committee to the Finance Committee, and both chairmen are in agreement.
Clarify that. Committee on Assignments? Appropriations to Finance. Understood. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 901 by Representatives Chiokas of the 138th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 23 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority so as to provide for the power to make loan commitments and to and loans to local governments and non-government entities for projects that permanently protect land and water and for other purposes.
Senator from the 52nd has asked for unanimous consent that House Bill 901 be withdrawn from the Committee of Appropriations and be committed to the Committee on Finance. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so. We've got a consent calendar of local bills before you, Mr. Secretary. Are there any objections filed to any bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed.
Is there objection or agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. The questions on the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. As a reminder, the 60-second rule has been waived. Please make your way to the chamber floor and vote your machine. Have all senators voted? Scott. All right. Have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, please lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 45, the nays are 3. The bills on the local consent calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. All right, moving on to the rules calendar. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 245? 245.
House Bill 245 by Representative Buckner of the 137th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 47-17-80 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to retirement benefit options, payment to surviving spouse requirements, effect of reemployment, effect of changes in retirement benefits, and payment on death of member relative to the Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund, so as to remove a provision that requires certain benefits payable to a surviving spouse to terminate if such surviving spouse remarries. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Retirement recommends this bill do pass. Senator Black of the 8th District, Chair. That completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 44th to speak to House Bill 245.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, this morning I bring to you House Bill 245, which deals with the Peace Officer Annuity and Benefit Fund. And it's basically, it allows the surviving spouse of a Peace Officer Annuity Benefit Fund member to continue to receive benefits upon remarriage. The current law says that if a surviving spouse of a Peace Officer Annuity and Benefit Fund member remarries, any benefits payable to such surviving spouse terminates on the date of such remarriage. And this bill strikes that provision, and that's in lines 14 and 15, and allows the surviving spouse to continue receiving benefits upon remarriage. The spouse depends on these funds, and we want to make sure that they get them. We feel that it is fair to pay into this fund and then receive the benefits. And this bill does not involve the appropriation of state funds because they plan to pay until their death. It's actually a very good bill, and we'd like to thank Representative David Buckner of the 137th for bringing this bill to us. You know, a spouse falls in love again, maybe 70 or 80 years old, and remarries. We don't want to punish them and take away those benefits. We want to encourage them to live a long life without worrying about money. So I ask for your favorable support and vote of this bill. Mr. President, I yield the well if there are no questions.
Does any senator have a question? The chair sees none. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 245? The chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? You're good? Hallway's good? Good. All right, have all senators voted? Mr. Secretary, can you please lock the machine? On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 861?
House Bill 861, Representative Wiedauer of the 119th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to identification and regulation of motor vehicles so as to amend certain definitions relating to commercial carriers. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety recommends this bill do pass. Senator Albers of the 56th District, Chair.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 7th to speak to House Bill 861.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate House Bill 861 does two things. One, it's the annual motor carrier update bill where we are updating Georgia code to reflect federal motor carrier law. And the other thing that it does is it simply changes an and to an or and adds or both in the code relating to intrastate and interstate. We've had some pretty crafty lawyers across our state that have figured out, so we've had some prosecutors who have been able to enforce some citations because of the word and in the code. So this addresses that issue. And if there are any questions, Mr. President, I will yield the will. Unless there are any questions, I will yield the will.
Senator, you have no questions. Any other senators wish to speak for or against House Bill 861? Chair sees none. Is there objection or agreeing with the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? Is the hallway clear? Hallway is clear. Mr. Secretary, please lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 47, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 932?
House Bill 932 by Representative Gaines of the 117th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 14 and Chapter 35 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to the Professional Corporations and the Georgia Podiatry Practice Act, respectively, so as to change certain provisions relating to podiatric medicine and surgery, to provide for doctors of podiatric medicine, and to join professional corporations with doctors of medicine or doctors of osteopathy. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends this bill do pass. Senator Cowser, the 46th District Chair. That completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 47th to speak to House Bill 932.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I rise to present a bill that's not about hate, but about love. And for me, it's kind of hits home for me a little bit more in that my Rotary Club builds handicap ramps. This week, on Thursday, they built the 780th handicap ramp for citizens in the community. Unfortunately, many of y'all know what a plague diabetes is to our citizens of Georgia. And a lot of times, a complication that comes along with that is an amputation. So what this bill does is allow a simple change in the law so that a professional corporation can join two purposes together. We're joining basically the podiatrist with any type of general medicine or any type of medical practitioner. This bill does that in a way that can help provide medical care for people all over Georgia, and especially in rural Georgia. But for me, it's not that complicated. It's really one that helps all Georgians, and I'll ask for your favorable consideration. It passed unanimously in the House, and I'd love to see it pass unanimously here in the Senate. With no questions, Mr. President, I'll yield the will.
You have a question. Chair recognizes the senator from the 48th for a question.
Does the chairman yield?
Yes, for the senator in the 48th.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to share with folks, because I was a little concerned when I read the language in the bill that we were blocking board certification of podiatrists, but we all worked on that this morning with the doctors in the chamber, and that is not what is happening. You still have to meet the requirements of the profession in this bill, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the question.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 27th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
For the 27th.
Thank you, sir. Relative to the lines 89 through the end of the bill, are we currently fingerprinting anyone as it relates to practicing podiatry?
I believe we do in order to get board certification. And that's the State Board of Medicine.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
If, with that being true, what's the necessity for the addition of these lines in the code?
Basically what's happening there is you're allowing a corporation to join two practices together, and we want to make sure that we've covered that.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
I understand that that's covered in sections, I believe, 1 and 2 of this bill, but I'm referencing section 4, and I'm confused what getting fingerprints has to do with combining a podiatry practice with a general practice.
Do you want the wrong person cutting your foot off?
No, sir, but I'm not sure that answers my question.
I think what the goal there is to make sure that we've got the right people practicing medicine, that there's no criminal background activity, and they do possess the requisite requirements.
Thank you.
You have no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 932? Chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Hallways clear. All senators voted. There we got one. Don't pull a hamstring over there. There we go. All right, all senators voted. Mr. Secretary, please lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption to House Bill 957?
House Bill 957 by Representative Jones of the 47th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to education generally so as to provide that certain charter school employees shall be included in the health insurance fund for public school teachers, to provide that local startup charter schools and state charter schools shall require proof of residency either at the time of application or enrollment, to extend the terms of members appointed to the state charter schools commissions, to provide for ownership and handling of student records by state charter schools. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass. Senator Martin of the 9th District, Chair.
For what purpose does the senator from the 56th rise?
Mr. President, I'd ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator for the 19th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 19th is excused. Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th to speak to House Bill 957. What day do you start running down here? Sine die, okay.
If we ever get there. All right, HB 957. No, let me start by saying nothing in this bill costs the state a thing. Section 1 simply clarifies that state charter school teachers are employed by public schools, therefore they do qualify for the state health benefit plan. There's been some a little confusion there in the state health benefit office from time to time, and the AG's office has continually had to reaffirm that these teachers do in fact qualify for the state health benefit plan. So again, no fiscal impact, they all already qualify. Section 2 simply allows charter schools to require proof of residency at time of lottery or at the time of enrollment. A couple years ago, we had it one way and we switched to a different way, and this simply allows them to go one way or the other. That request came from individual charter schools throughout the state. Section 3 extends the terms of board members appointed to the State Charter Schools Commission from 2 years to 4. And Section 5 shifts the deadline for required virtual school performance audits from December 1 to April 1 so that we can incorporate updated academic data. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I'll yield the well.
Senator, you have no questions.
Thank you.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 957? Chair sees none. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Have all senators voted? Have all senators voted? Hallway clear? Hallway's clear. Mr. Secretary, please lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 47, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the caption of House Bill 991?
House Bill 991 by Representative Hatchett of the 150th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to health so as to provide for transparency relating to state health care plans and its contractors, to provide for a short title, provide for definitions, provide for an oversight committee, provide for its members and powers, to provide for information from state contractors and others to the oversight committee regarding state health care plans, to provide for confidentiality of certain records. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services offers the following substitute to House Bill 991, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to health so as to provide for transparency relating to state health care plans and its contractors, to provide for a short title, provide for definitions, to provide for an oversight committee, to provide for its members and powers, to provide for information from state contractors and others to the Oversight Committee regarding state health care plans, to provide for confidentiality of certain records. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends this bill do pass by substitute. Senator Watson, the 1st District Chair. That completes the order.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 1st to speak to House Bill 991.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm here presenting House Bill 991. It is a very straightforward bill. It makes an oversight committee and creates an oversight committee, I should say, and it requires insurance companies to submit the information for review. It actually is oversight alone. No action can be taken, as in like line 75. Nothing in this bill shall be construed to enable the Oversight Committee to act on its own, but it does protect the information that is provided because that information provided is proprietary. So the Oversight Committee will give the legislature the ability to review that information, and that's all it does. I'll be happy to answer questions on House Bill 991.
Senator, you have no questions.
Thank you very much.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against House Bill 991? The chair sees none. The question's on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to adoption of the committee substitute? Chair hears none, and the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. All senators, please enter the chamber and vote your machines. Have all senators voted? Hallway clear? We're good over here? All right, Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 48, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. All right, we're going to stand in recess, and we're going to have a rules meeting immediately. It's the best way to describe it. Stand in recess, and there will be a rules meeting immediately. Thank you.